What's good, everybody? It's your man Big Dom coming live and at you with another True Players Podcast episode, hitting you with the in-your-face, unedited, straight, blunt talk about sports, finances, relationships, current events, and many other topics along the way. Check out my next episode. What's good, everybody? It's your man Big Dog coming live and at you with another True Players Podcast episode. We're going to be recapping week number 6. I'm going to post the link in the comment section for you guys if you want to come on the podcast or chat with me on the podcast. That link will be there to do that. We put that on for you guys as we get started. All right, guys, what's going on? We're gonna talk about the Giants and Jets this week. As you saw in the NFL, 2 of the last unbeaten teams in the NFL have lost. The 49ers lost to the Cleveland Browns, and the Jets did their thing against the Philadelphia Eagles, beating them for the first time after 12 tries. So before I get into the Jets aspect of the recap, let's get into the Giants. The Giants lost to the Bills 14-9. The time management gaffes by the New York Giants at the end of the half cost them that victory. They should have just kicked the field goal. Don't play around. Just kick the field goal. It'll have been, at the time, the score would have been 14-12, and all the Giants needed was a field goal to win the game and not a touchdown. The offense moved better with Tyrod Taylor, but I think that has more to do with the presence of Saquon back in the lineup. First time in about 3 weeks he's playing. I think it definitely helped out Tyrod, but it didn't produce the touchdowns. You know, the drives always ended up in field goals and things like that. Tyrod Taylor's stats was 24 for 36 for 200 yards. Like I said, the times management, when he audible to a run at about, I believe there was 10 seconds left or a little bit more than 10 seconds left in the half. Then they had no timeouts. That was a bad audible. Darius Slayton contributed with 4 receptions for 69 yards. Wan'Dale Robinson had a big game, 8 receptions, 62 yards. I said big game, but he had 8 catches. Darren Waller, always, 5 receptions, 43 yards. Again, no matter who's behind center for the New York Giants, they're always going to have problems with the offensive line. This offensive line cannot block. They lost 2 offensive linemen during the game Sunday night. So they fall 1-5 for the season. Next week, they're going to be against the Commanders before the Jets come off the bye. They take on the Jets. My question to you guys is real simple. Is the playoffs pretty much out of the question for the Giants? My opinion, yeah, it is. They're out of it. They're done. Is Daniel Jones the quarterback for this team? In your opinion, I'm of the opinion yes, but you got to have the right situation around him. You got to have a strong offensive line around him. And he never had that big time receiver to throw the ball to. I know Slayton has filled in at times. Waller was supposed to be that big time receiver threat for the tight end position, but he never had that big time receiver that causes threat to the defenses like that. But hopefully Wan'Dale Robinson could either grow into that, or even Darius Slayton could continue being that guy until they find that guy that comes in and takes the pressure off from Daniel Jones. So like I said, the Giants 1-5. could be going into the Jet game 1-6. The Commanders are nothing to play with. They're pretty good. They got good pass rushes on the Commanders, even though they are floating around trading Chase Young, which the Jets got to go. If the Jets do get him too, woo! Add one more pass rusher to that pass rush, outside pass rush. You got Jermaine Johnson, McDonald, Solomon Thomas, Huff. Who else? Who am I missing? Who else? Who else am I missing? So they got a whole lot. They got a whole lot of pass rushes on the Jets. So we'll see what happens. And as I'm going to pivot to the New York Giants here, to the New York Jets. Let's get to the New York Jets now, because this is what I've been waiting for to talk to you guys about. I'm going to get at you guys on many different ends on this. Everyone's praising Zach Wilson. He didn't lose the game. Is that what we have come to for a number 2 draft pick? Hoping he doesn't lose games? This is what we're about now. But, there's a contingent of Jets fans who love this guy. 19 for 33. The Jets did win 20-14. Zach Wilson, 19 of 33 for 186 yards. Breecehall did not have a good game. He had 19 catches for 39 yards, but he had a TD at the end after the Tonyadams interception. CJMosley was hyped off the game. That's why I put his picture up there. He used that preseason game last year as motivation to play well against the Eagles. Yes, the Eagles was making fun of the New York Jets, especially Robert Saleh. The entire team, they were making fun of them. And CJMosley took it to heart, and he brought his A game. The defense for the first time that I've seen stood on its head for this Jet team. Literally stood on its head. Causing turnovers, applying pressure. Even though Jalen Hurts was escaping the pressure to get big runs for first downs, that's always been the New York Jets' Achilles heel over the past couple of years, is stopping the run pass options of the quarterbacks who could actually run it properly. Mahomes got away from them. Jalen Hurts got away from at certain points of the game, and then adjustments was made by Ulbrich to definitely now control pass rushes outside to keep them in the pocket. And they did confuse Jalen Hurts a little bit, The Williams brothers, Quinnen with the interception off a deflection, Quincy with a fumble recovery after cjmosley punched the ball out the receiver's hands, and he recovered. First time brothers on the same team had a turnover, which is great. And the thing is about this defense, though, they stood on its head without Sauce Gardner and without DJ Reed. Their top 2 corners were not even playing in this game. Bryce Hall and a practice squad cornerback started the game. I believe his name was Hayes. Started the game, even though AJ Brown got his receptions. He had 8 catches for about 163 yards, I believe. Even he got off, but there's certain points of the game when the Jets needed a big stop, the defense made it happen. That big interception by Tony Hall, when the Jets was just trying to get the ball back to do the fight, the drive at the end, he got the big interception, gave the Jets great field position, and then they scored with breecehall running that ball into the end zone, which I thought was a little bit too quick to score, especially with the Philadelphia Eagles. He scored too quickly, but like I said, the defense did its thing, got another interception to close out the game. What do you guys think? I'm gonna ask you guys a question. That's not more of a question, it's more of a statement. I mean, I know everybody is glad about how Zach Wilson is playing. Everybody's happy about it. I'm kind of happy about it myself. But the thing is, though, the problem with Zach Wilson is he's not getting 7 points. He's not getting 6 points. He's getting the field goals. And that has to change. He has to start leading his team for touchdowns and not 3 points. That's how great quarterbacks are marked, through touchdowns, not field goals. You know, Miko Hardman gets traded back to the Chiefs. They didn't use him. They didn't need him. They didn't use him properly. They didn't even use him. So that's more of a disconnect with the front office and the and the free agent front office and the coaching staff about a player. So, what can you say? But I'm gonna ask you guys this question: do the Jets need to go get a number 2 receiver? My opinion, they should. They should look for a trade for a number 2 receiver. I don't think nothing against Lazard. He's just not that guy for the number 2 slot. Just not that guy. I forgot to mention my main man, Garrett Wilson, 8 catches, 93 yards. Played a hell of a game. He's a superstar. He's a superstar. You get that second receiver to open things up more for him. You got something there. The tight ends, the tight ends, whether it's Conklin, Uzoma, or Ruckert, they're in great shape as far as that position goes. The Jets do need a second receiver. I'm sorry to say, they do need a second receiver. You know what I'm saying? And I heard I'm hearing people was chirping in another Facebook group. They were chirping about Mark Sanchez's commentary about he was pro Philadelphia Eagle or whatever they wanted to say. Listen, I find nothing wrong with what Mark Sanchez was saying. I actually supported him as a quarterback, unlike a lot of people who are on the Zach Wilson bandwagon. I actually supported Mark Sanchez. I supported Geno Smith. I supported Sam Darnold. You know what I'm saying? These same people who are diehard Zach Wilson fans did not support these other quarterbacks at all. So Mark Sanchez is probably hating. I know Mark Sanchez be watching the Facebook groups and all that stuff. People saying all the support that Zach Wilson is getting. He probably want to dig it into those fans. That's exactly what he did. He said, "Yeah, you guys remember me? Oh, you only remember me for the butt fumble or hot dog on the sideline, but you forgot about that. I was starting quarterback for two back-to-back AFC Championship games." So I have absolutely no issues with the New York Jets. Now they enter the bye 3-3. The Giants, they're going to take on the Giants in the next 2 weeks. Let's see what happens. You know what I'm saying? I'm very excited about the opportunity. Did I think we would get here at 3-3 after Rodgers went down with Zach Wilson before his improved play? No, I didn't think we would get here. But we are here. And now here's the situation now. That loss to the Patriots is looming large because we should be 4-2. Looming large. Can't lose to the Patriots. People want to say, oh, they took on a top 5 defense and all that stuff. Listen, top defenses. Listen, our defense is supposed to be top flight too. Just saying. And now there's there's reports that Aaron Rodgers may return in Week 12. The miracle that would be if Aaron Rodgers were to return in Week 12 for the Jets, and hopefully on a playoff run. I believe it when I see it. To be honest with you, because Achilles takes about a year to come back. Actually, it takes a year to actually get back on the field, and 2 years to be fully back into the shape you were previously. So, like I said, we're going to see what happens. The Jets broke the curse of the Philadelphia Eagles. They beat them for the first time in the regular season after 12 tries. We'll take that to the bank. The one thing I am worried about now with after this victory, Robert Saleh is said some big man shit, big man talk about we're confusing all these quarterbacks. Robert, chill out, because you could easily not win the next 11 games. Easily not win those games. Let's keep it down a little bit. Keep it down a little bit. But I do see some great things with this team, even with Zach Wilson as quarterback. Zach, like I said, Zach just needs to figure out how to get touchdowns and not just field goals. His turnovers are down. And also, Joe Douglas needs to find him a second receiver to throw to. Because there's times I'll be watching the game and I see him just stare down Garrett Wilson for that pass, staring him down. That has to change after the bye. He has to be able to see the full field and actually throw the receivers that he could trust. I mentioned Randall Cobb. If it was Randall Cobb back in the day, in his younger days, I'd be like, oh, I'm all for keeping Randall Cobb, but I think he's at the end of his rope now. He's at the end of his career right now. He's not the same player. Father Time is beating him. So, like I said, we see what happens. We see when they take on the Giants. But I'll tell you one thing. It'll be a huge letdown when they come out the bye that they lose to the Giants. It'll be a very bad letdown. They need to come back from the bye and beat them Giants. What do y'all think? It's paramount. It's paramount for them to beat the Giants. It's paramount. I was hoping to have a Philadelphia Eagle fan to join me on the podcast. He wasn't able to make it. Probably still a little bit hurt by that. I was not gonna beat him up. I want to ask him his perspective of what caused the Eagles to lose this football game. Was it overconfidence? Was it cockiness? Or was it the Jet defense? Or was it all of the above? You know what I'm saying? So, like I said, good win. Enjoy the bye week. You guys probably wondering whether or not I'll be back next week to recap. Yes, I will. I will just recap the Giant game next week. It'll be even shorter podcast. I'm hoping when I do the podcast recapping the Giants next week that they actually win against the Commanders. That's what I'm hoping for. Other than that, you'll catch me on an episode. Me and Joey G are working on a new episode for you guys. Me and him may be back sooner than later. We may be back sooner than later. I'm sorry, for another episode. Me and him are going to talk about Marvel, the possible soft reboot, and possible return of the characters who were killed off from the Marvel universe. We're going to talk about our opinions about it, and I hope you guys are there to watch it. Basically, we're hoping to have this podcast on either Friday or Saturday, depending on the time frame. We hope to have this podcast for either Friday or Saturday. I will announce it on YouTube, Facebook, and Patreon. It'll be announced on them at that time. But this is your man, Big Dumb. I'm going to sign up on this podcast. Definitely, please subscribe to the podcast on YouTube at True Players Podcast on YouTube. Tell your friends about the podcast. And if you guys want to come on and talk about subjects that you want to talk about on the podcast, I'm open for anything. If you want to join me on recapping your teams, if you're not a Giant fan, you're not a Jet fan, you're a Pittsburgh Steelers fan or some other fan, if you want to talk about your team and recap their games on the podcast, I'm all here for it. But trust me, I did watch a lot of other games, but I don't, I'm just into my New York teams. I'm a New York guy. So on that note, catch me on Patreon also. Catch me on Anchor, TuneIn Radio, iHeartRadio, SoundCloud, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts. It's definitely on Spotify. I'm on Spotify. Follow me on Spotify as well for all the audio versions so you can listen to it in your car, or this is just for your listening pleasures. All right. So it's your man, Big Dumb. I'm going to sign off on this podcast. We'll be back next time on another episode of the True Plays Podcast. I'm signing off. Peace.